Hello, Pewter people. Scott Reynolds here with another Pewter Pulse. Wearing my K-State shirt today. My Wildcats need all the help they can get against Texas Tech on Saturday. But I digress. That's not why you're here. You're here to hear about the Bucs running game from me. And when's it going to get going? Well, it's gotten going a little bit, but it might take about half the year to really get on track. Now, you don't like that answer? Okay, well, that's not just coming from me. That's coming from Dave Canales himself, the Bucs offensive coordinator. Recently said that on JC Allen's latest podcast, and it's the truth, even though you may not want to hear it. Why is it taking so long to get this ground game going? I thought it was going to come from Seattle and have all these wide zone runs and breakout runs, and it just hasn't materialized yet, right? Well, that's true. Tampa Bay's running game has improved slightly since Dave Canales got here. The Bucs are averaging 87 yards per game. That ranks 25th in the NFL. Not good enough, not where Dave Canales or anybody at the Advent Health Training Center wants it to be, and not where you want it to be either. I get that. But it's better than last year. Last year was 75 yards per game, ranked dead last in the league in rush attempts and rushing yards. So there has been some progress that's happened under Dave Canales. Let's take a look at this. And remember, last year, Rachaad White was a part-time starter, just getting his feet wet in the NFL, and only had one 100-yard game. There hasn't been a 100-yard rusher yet this year, but that might be coming sooner than you think. You know, the Buccaneers started off up there in Minnesota, and it was tough sledding, right? Brian Flores sold out against stopping the run and held Tampa Bay to 73 yards on the ground. A lot of eight-man fronts, a lot of run blitzes. The next week, signs of life. Rachaad White finds the end zone. Tampa Bay racks up 120 yards on the ground. Certainly a better performance from week one, but then the buzzsaw that is the Philadelphia Eagles' top-ranked run defense kicked into gear on Monday night, and the Bucs running game came to a screeching halt with 41 yards. Well, against the New Orleans Saints, there were some signs of life again, 114 yards on the ground. And that was a pretty good rushing effort because of one thing. They used the pass to set up the run. I'll get to that in a second here, but this is what Dave Canales had to say, and he called a very good game as the Buccaneers racked up a season high on offense, 26 points, in beating the Saints 26-9 in New Orleans in week 4. Dave Canales this week said this about the Bucs running game. But there is going to be a game that is kind of like a statement game where it all comes together, where the run game is hitting, the play actions are there. Not that you're perfect, you know. Known passing situations are crisp. The red zone passes are on time. All those things. There's a game that happens, and that's what we're striving for that game to come together for us. But at the same time, knowing while we're figuring things out, do we have enough offense to gain yards and make first downs? The Saints game was just one of those things. What are they giving us that we can take advantage of just to get new sets of first downs so we can get more runs and so that we can take some shots? Things like that, trying harder for first downs. Well, what happened in New Orleans was the Bucs came out throwing the ball. 18-yard pass from Baker Mayfield to Mike Evans right off the bat. That got Mike Evans involved in the game early. On that same first drive, Chris Godwin caught 2 passes. Now he's involved early. Baker Mayfield's finding a rhythm, and then they worked in the running game from there. They used the pass to set up the run. And I think that's going to be the approach this week against Detroit with their stingy third-ranked rushing defense, which is only allowing 68 yards per game. So, having said that, what are some things Canales can do? Well, aside from having Rachaad White tote the rock, we saw Devin Tompkins gain 11 yards on an end around. And little things like that, some misdirections, some gimmicks, some trick plays, those are some ways to manufacture some runs to kind of pad that rushing total, help the running game get going. And I think Dave Canales is on the right track. I don't think he's going to beat his head into the wall and try to force the run the way he did against the Eagles against the Lions. But folks, the reason why I say it's going to take half a year for the running game to get going is you have to understand, we're in 2023. This is not back in the 1990s when I started covering the Buccaneers, where they had two-a-day practices and training camp, and not just two-a-day practices, but live tackling periods. And that means live running periods. That means offensive line trying to mash Warren Sapp and Brad Culpepper and Chidi Hanatu out of the way, and trying to get the A-Train, Mike Allstott, and Warwick Dunn going, right? That was back then, and that's when running games could get established right into week 1 and week 2. Now you're seeing some teams that have had consistency with the play caller, with the offensive line, with the running backs, et cetera, with the quarterbacks, being able to have some success early on running the ball. But that's not the case in Tampa. New play caller, new running back, new quarterback, and revamped offensive line. It's just going to take some time. Remember, the Buccaneers offensive line got what, maybe 6 series in the preseason, all 3 games combined? Well, that's only half of a game in terms of the number of possessions. So, yeah, the only way the Bucs are going to get better running the ball is on Sundays or on a Monday or on a Thursday, like against the Bills this year. So it's just going to take some time. I'm not expecting a huge running game against the Lions on Sunday. The Lions defense is really stout against the run, but I'm not going to say that breakout game can't happen this week, but it might happen maybe against the Atlanta Falcons the next week. It's coming soon, sooner rather than you think. I think the pieces are there. It's just a matter of doing it and getting consistency. You can't practice this. They don't want the friendly fire taking out players in practice on your own team. So the Buccaneers, they're going to have to wait until Sundays, like this week's game against the Lions, to really practice and perfect the running game. Run those plays some more, and then the experience will come. Folks, I hope you've enjoyed the experience of this Pewter Pulse video. For more Pewter Pulse videos and other great Bucs video content, make sure you are visiting Pewter Report TV. It's our YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribing to that. Hit the like button, please, and add a comment. That helps our algorithm with YouTube. It gets us in front of more Pewter people like you, and we love that. Make sure you're following us on X, Facebook, and Instagram at Pewter Report, and the mothership, pewterreport.com, for breaking Bucs news, inside scoop, injury reports, and game coverage. And I'll be back soon with another edition of the Pewter Pulse.